I never thought a Tuesday afternoon at the grocery store would change my life, but that's exactly what happened when a woman in a silk blouse decided I wasn't worth basic human decency. It started the way most humiliations do, quietly, and then all at once. I was standing in the express lane, 12 items in my cart, when she appeared behind me. Perfectly highlighted hair, a designer handbag that probably cost more than my rent, and an expression like she'd just stepped in something unpleasant. That something, apparently, was me. She counted my items out loud. Actually counted them. 1, 2, 3. All the way to 12. Then exhaled through her nose like I'd personally offawed her. This lane is for 10 items or fewer, she announced, loud enough for the entire front end of the store to hear. Some people just can't read. I turned around. I smiled. I said, the sign says 12 or fewer, actually. And that's when things got worse. She didn't just disagree with me. She performed. She turned to the people behind her. There were 4 or 5 of them by then, and she laughed. Actually laughed, this sharp little sound like a bark. Oh, she's counting now. How cute. Then she pulled out her phone, and I thought she was going to call someone. But she wasn't. She was filming me. This, she said, tilting the camera toward my face, is exactly the kind of person who holds up a line and then argues about it. She was narrating. Like I was a nature documentary. Like I was something to be cataloged and mocked for content. I felt my face go hot. I felt the eyes of every person in that checkout line land on me like a spotlight, and I wanted to shrink down to nothing. I didn't say another word. I paid for my groceries, I loaded my bags into my cart, and I walked out of that store with my chin up even though my hands were shaking the whole time. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 10 minutes before I felt steady enough to drive. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself to forget it. I almost did. My name is Rachel. I'm 34 years old, I work in social media management, which is its own particular kind of irony, given what's coming, and I live in a mid-sized city in Ohio that's just big enough to feel anonymous, but just small enough that people talk. I'm not dramatic. I'm not a person who looks for conflict or stirs things up online. I mention that because what happened next was genuinely not something I engineered. It found me. About 2 days after the grocery store incident, I was having coffee with my friend Dana, and I told her the story the way you tell a friend a story, venting, a little embarrassed, still stung by it. Dana listened with her eyebrows climbing higher and higher, and when I finished she said, Rachel, did you get her name? I hadn't. Did you see what she was wearing? Did she pay with a card? Was there anything on her that could identify her? I thought about it. Shed had a monogram on that bag, an embroidered one, and she'd been wearing a lanyard tucked into her jacket. Not visible enough to read, but there. Dana pulled out her phone. Describe her to me. I didn't post anything. I want to be clear about that because it matters. I didn't go online and make a call-out post or start a thread or try to track this woman down. What I did was tell my story, once, to one person. Dana, however, is a different kind of person than I am. Dana has 60,000 followers on TikTok, a community she built over 3 years of documenting everyday injustice in the most wry, low-key way imaginable. She's not inflammatory. She doesn't rage bait. She just tells the truth and lets people feel what they feel about it. Without telling me she was going to do it, Dana made a video. She didn't use the woman's name. She didn't have it. She described the incident the way ID described it to her. The counting, the laughter, the phone, the narration, and she said at the end, if you've ever been that person in the express lane, wondering if you counted right, knowing you did but doubting yourself anyway because someone made you feel 2 inches tall, this one's for you. That was it. That was the whole video. It got 400,000 views in 48 hours. I found out about the video because Dana texted me a link with 17 exclamation points and a message that said, don't freak out. I freaked out a little. Not because of the video itself, which was genuinely kind and didn't expose me or embarrass me in any way, but because of what was in the comments. People were recognizing the story. Not in a vague way. Not in a this sounds like someone I know way. In a I was in that store way. In a I saw this happen way. Multiple people, independently, in the comment section of Donna's video, described a woman matching the description ID given: silk blouse, designer bag, highlighted hair, a phone held up like a weapon, and they added details I hadn't even known. She'd done it before, at the same store, to someone else, 2 weeks earlier. There was a woman in the comments who said she'd witnessed it and had actually started recording on her own phone because she'd been so unsettled, but she'd stopped herself because she didn't want to escalate things. And then someone posted a name. I'm not going to say how they found it, partly because I genuinely don't know the full chain of events, and partly because that part of the story makes me the most uncomfortable, even now. What I know is that within about 18 hours of Donna's video going viral, a woman named Sherry Caldwell was being discussed on 3 different Reddit threads, 2 Facebook community groups, one of which was the neighborhood group for the area where the grocery store was located, and a Twitter thread that was gaining traction by the hour. Sherry Caldwell, it turned out, was not a private citizen in the way most of us are private citizens. She ran a lifestyle account. Not a huge one, maybe 8,000 followers, but a curated, carefully maintained presence where she posted pictures of her house, her meals, her highlights, her handbag collection. She called herself a luxury living enthusiast. She had a highlight reel called Standards in which she posted, I am not making this up, videos and screenshots of what she described as people who don't respect their surroundings or the people in them. The video she'd taken of me was in that highlight reel. I found out about that part on a Thursday morning. I was at my desk, working, and my phone started lighting up with notifications from an account I didn't follow and hadn't tagged. People were tagging me. Not because they knew who I was, but because someone in the comment section of Donna's video had figured it out. My friend had mentioned Ohio, and I had a public account, and it apparently didn't take long from there. My inbox was full of messages from strangers telling me they were sorry, that they'd seen the video, that I hadn't deserved it. And mixed in with those messages were screenshots. Screenshots of Sherry's account. Screenshots of the reel. Screenshots of the comment Sherry had left under her own video of me, which said, and I'm quoting here because I want you to understand exactly what this woman thought of the situation. When you're running errands and have to deal with this. Faced with rolling eyes, some people were just raised differently, I guess. I stared at that comment for a long time. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my mom. My mother is 61 years old. She lives in Indiana, and she has the kind of quiet moral clarity that I have spent my entire adult life trying to inherit. I told her everything. The store, the counting, the laugh, the phone, the video, Donna's video, the comments, the Reddit threads, the highlight reel, Sherry's caption. My mom listened to all of it without interrupting, which is unusual for her, and when I finished she said, Rachel, what do you want to happen? I thought about it honestly. I wanted to take the video down, I said. I want an apology. And I want to understand why someone does that to another person. My mom said, you might get the first 2. You won't get the 3rd. She was right on all counts. By Friday, Sherry's account had gone from 8,000 followers to something closer to 40,000. Not because people liked her, but because the internet had arrived. The comments on her posts were not kind. I'm not going to pretend they were, or that I felt entirely neutral watching it happen. There was a part of me, the hurt and humiliated part that had sat in a parking lot with shaking hands, that felt something when I saw the tide turn. I'm not proud of that. I'm also not going to lie about it. What I am proud of is what I chose to do with it. I posted, for the first time publicly, about the incident. One post. No screenshots of Sherry's account, no tagging her, no encouraging anyone to go to her page. I described what had happened in the store, I described how it had made me feel, and I said, and I meant this genuinely, that I didn't want anyone harassing anyone on my behalf. That public humiliation, even when it goes in the direction you'd prefer, doesn't actually fix anything. It just reshuffles who's uncomfortable. That post got more attention than anything I had ever put on the internet in my life. Sherry's account went private that same day. The highlight reel disappeared. The video of me disappeared. I got a direct message from an account I didn't recognize, and when I looked it up it was a secondary account. New, no followers, no posts, and the message said, I think you know who this is. I'm sorry for what I did in the store. I was having a bad week and I took it out on a stranger, and I posted it publicly, and that was wrong. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I know it was I read that message 4 times. Then I wrote back. 3 sentences. Thank you for saying that. I hope your weeks get better. I forgive you. Not because you've earned it, but because I'd rather put it down than carry it. I don't know if she read it. I don't know if she believed me. I know I meant it. The part of the story that stuck with me the longest wasn't the apology, though. It was something that happened a week after everything died down, when I was back at the same grocery store because it's the closest one to my apartment, and I wasn't going to let a bad Tuesday permanently reroute my errands, and a woman tapped me on the shoulder in the produce section. She was maybe 60, gray-haired, wearing a rain jacket. She said, "Are you the woman from the video? The express lane?" I said I was. She said, "I was in that store that day. I saw it happen. I'm sorry I didn't say anything." I told her it was okay. She shook her head like it wasn't, like she'd been thinking about it for weeks. "I should have said something," she said. "I was right there. I should have just said, leave her alone." We stood there in the produce section for a minute. Then she said, "I'm going to next time." That's the thing about a moment like this one. It doesn't really end. It ripples. Sherry filming me rippled outward and became something neither of us expected or controlled. My forgiveness rippled outward into a comment section of people who said it made them think about how they carry grudges. The woman in the rain jacket carries it into whatever checkout line she finds herself in next, ready to speak when she might have stayed quiet before. I think about that sometimes when I'm having a bad day, or when I feel small, or when I'm standing in a grocery store and someone sighs too loudly behind me. We don't always get to choose what happens to us. We get to choose what we do next. I chose to put it down. And somehow, in the putting down, it became the heaviest and most important thing I've ever carried.